Welcome back. There were two pretty big developments related to the Russia investigation that flew under the radar during this holiday week. The first was the official report from the Senate Intelligence Committee supporting the conclusion of 3 U.S. intelligence agencies that determined that Donald Trump was helped by the Russians in the 2016 election. The other story was the apparent change of heart by President Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen. Cohen once said he would take a bullet for the president, but this week he told ABC News, quote, "To be crystal clear, my wife, my daughter, and my son and this country have my first loyalty." Well, joining me now is the president's current lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. Mr. Giuliani, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you very, very much, Chuck.
Right.
Happy to be with you.
All right. Well, you had said that the 4th of July was basically a deadline of sorts for you to determine whether or not you would recommend President Trump sit down with Robert Mueller. It is now past the 4th of July. Where do we stand?
Well, I think we're pretty much decided where we are, and we await the decision of the independent counsel. We would not recommend an interview for the president unless they can satisfy us that there's some basis for this investigation. It's our firm belief, and we think nothing contradicts this, that the president did nothing wrong. In all the leaking that's gone on, there's been no leak of any fact that says the president conspired with anybody in Russia. I know from having been on the campaign that there was no contact with Russians, no discussion with Russians. So we've got to see something. I mean, something started this investigation. I don't just investigate my next door neighbor because I think he may be committing a crime. I've got to, in order to get an investigation going, I've got to give the police or the FBI some kind of probable cause. And there isn't any. And when we've asked them for it, going back to John Dowd, they've given us nothing. And I think you can see John's opinion now is very much like ours, that the president shouldn't be interviewed because John has unfortunately come to the conclusion that this is a witch hunt and an attempt to trap him in perjury.
We just had, when I previewed introduced our segment, we had the Senate Intelligence Committee. They come out with their first conclusion. They've got more to come when it comes to collusion. They haven't made a determination on the collusion aspect of things. But it's a fact in their minds that Russia interfered and attempted to help the president. How is that not a compelling enough reason for Mr. Mueller to want to question the president?
Well, because there's no evidence that links the president to that. That's a heck of a thing to people can have all kinds of motives.
How do you know that for sure?
Motives.
How do you know that for sure? Do you have?
Well, I know it for sure because.
Do you know everything that Mr. Mueller has?
Well, then he's got to give us a basis. The president is doing something extraordinary. He's waiving executive privilege. He's waiving all the rights that he has under the Constitution to give them an interview. What we are asking them for, in a case that does seem kind of really shaky, we're asking them for a factual basis. We're not asking them, the Times report yesterday, although pretty accurate, was wrong. We're not asking them to show us that he committed a crime. Of course he didn't commit a crime. They can investigate forever. They're not going to find any of that. What we're asking them for is this the witch hunt that a lot of people think it is? Or is there a factual basis for this? You did that big, long counterintelligence investigation, which seems very, very questionable, with very biased people who hated Trump and wanted to stop him. What did they find? Show us something. Mueller's been at it for 13, 14 months. 1.4 million documents, 29 witnesses. What did he find? Is there somebody who says there was a meeting where Trump discussed conspiracy to do this? There's nothing.
Well, but actually, Mr. Mayor, in the public record, and you and I've actually had a discussion about one of these. In the public record, we have the president admitting that he misled the New York Times on the Donald Trump Jr. statement when it came to his role in the infamous Trump Tower meeting of June of 2016. We have, so that is, you said there's nothing, this is a public record of the president contradicting, and I know it is not a crime for the president to lie to us in the media. However, how is that not itself probable cause for Mr. Mueller to want to question the president?
Well, because the fact is that also in the public record is the conclusion of that meeting. And that is that nothing was done about it. That the person came in under the guise of having information about Clinton, but also to talk about adoptions. All she did was talk about adoptions.
Wait a minute. Well, first of all, we don't know that. We don't. That has not
Well, we
been
do know
fully
that because-
established. That was the story changed 3 times, Mr. So if the story changed, how are we so sure? Yeah, look, your own legal partner here in the president's team, Jay Sekulow, misled me. Now you had said he didn't intentionally do that. I take your word.
He didn't.
I take your word at that. But somebody misled him then. Your client may have misled him.
They already have all these facts. They can do with them what they want. They don't need I can tell them that the president's testimony will be exactly the same as he said about this.
Which part? What he said in the public record, or when he? I mean, we don't know what he said.
What he has said
privately.
He has had an opportunity to think about it, to refresh his recollection. He's given a statement about it, and it's clear that there was no discussion with him about this, and that nothing happened from it. So there's no basis that can be gotten from that. Particularly since there's nothing in the 1.4 million documents or I think it's 32 witnesses that support anything like that. I also happen to know that the testimony on this is exactly what was leaked to the public. And because we debrief witnesses, which we're allowed to do.
I want to just, what's the president afraid of? He's not afraid to sit down with Kim Jong-un. He's not afraid of sitting down with Vladimir Putin. Why is he afraid to sit down with Robert Mueller?
One of the problems here, I think Jay and John Dowd would attest to this, is the president's very anxious to testify because he knows he's done nothing wrong. It's us, his lawyers, who have real hesitation about it. I mean, look at how biased the people who started this investigation were. I've never seen an investigation.
You think Robert Mueller's a biased man? You think Robert Mueller's a biased man?
No, but I think he's surrounded by biased people. Almost exclusively. He's got a guy who donated over $30,000 to Hillary. He's got someone who was crying at her loss party, victory party, whatever you want to call it. And his lead investigator is probably going to go to jail. The FBI agent who said you have to stop Trump. I mean, has there ever been an investigation of this magnitude with such obvious indications of extreme, disgusting bias, which totally corrupts the process? Can I expect these people to be objective about Donald Trump?
Then it sounds like you think Robert Mueller's corrupt. I mean, when you're saying all that,
corrupt.
Well, everything you're alleging then that he was willing to have you're making allegations that he was willing to have corrupt FBI agents on his team.
No, that's a fact. He had a corrupt FBI agent on his team.
And he fired him
on his team.
And he got rid of him.
Well, after other people found out about the corruption, he never bothered to vet him properly. And then he remains with a chief assistant and several others very close to him who have extraordinarily close ties to Hillary Clinton. And we've not looked at their text. Mm-hmm. If we had not looked at the other guy's text, we never would have known how much he hated Trump. But nobody's examined the text of the people working for him. Maybe they should. But in any event, we're still willing to do it if, in fact, they can satisfy us that there's a basis for this. And we think, and John Dowd started this back in January. And since we started it, we don't get an answer, which I'm sorry, Chuck, as a lawyer, makes me suspicious. Please be clear. President Trump wants to testify. We have to hold him back. And the only thing we've been able to do is it becomes easier as evidence of the corrupt nature of this investigation becomes clearer.
Let me ask you 2 other questions. Are you concerned that Michael Cohen is going to start cooperating with the feds?
No. In fact, if he wants to cooperate, I think it's great. We've been through all his records. I know Michael. He has no evidence of, nor was he involved in anything untoward with the president. The fact is that Michael has been a victim here, like a lot of other people.
So you want Michael Cohen to cooperate with the Fed? Do you think that's a good development for the president if he does?
Yes, because it's going to lead to nothing. And look, Mueller gave it away. If this had any chance of leading to President Trump, don't you think Mueller would have kept this? I have every indication there's nothing in this investigation that has any ability to touch the president. And I think if Michael testifies or cooperates, I don't know what's involved, but I'm hoping he'll be able to convince them that this was not a wise investigation to start with.
The president's going to be sitting down with Vladimir Putin in just over a week. He's at the center of all of this. The Senate report just right out there. I mean, he's been an influence campaign that was apparently approved personally by Vladimir Putin. As the president's lawyer, would you recommend your client sitting down with the person who's sort of at the center of this Russian investigation by Bob Mueller?
Well, one thing as a lawyer, another thing as an American citizen and a person very interested in foreign policy and the safety of America and the world. he has to sit down with Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin happens to run one of the most powerful countries on earth, probably has the second or third biggest nuclear arsenal,
Right.
has been very aggressive, on the other hand, has shown himself willing to negotiate. So I don't think he has a choice. I think it's a sign of how confident the president is that he did nothing wrong. He's not going to be stopped by this. I mean, this is the reason.
You don't think he's hamstrung by the fact that if he looks like he capitulates too much to Putin, that it only raises more suspicion? I mean, doesn't it put him in a box that either way there isn't going to seem genuine?
As his lawyer, I would like to say yes, because it's a good argument of executive privilege, that they're interfering with the president and presidency. However, if you know Donald Trump, it's not going to stop him one bit any more than it's stopping him from doing any other things. And he's ready to try to regularize things with Putin, but Putin's going to have to meet him more than halfway.
All right, Rudy Giuliani, I have to leave it there.
All right, thank you, Chuck.
Thank you for coming on, sharing your views. Much appreciated, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.